Hey everybody, what's up? I hope your Friday is shaping up to be a great one. Now look, here's what's up with today's guest. Today's guest, and by the way, this is a good one. This is one that you're going to want. We start off a little bit slow, like sometimes these do, and then it picks up steam. So here's what we talk about. Now, this guy's got an interesting background. He was a traveling, like, emergency RN nurse, and then he moved into real estate. So here's some of the things we talk about. We talk about why communication is key. And obviously you guys know that, but hear it from his perspective. Why hard work trumps talent. This guy came from the Midwest, took his Midwestern work ethic and rolled it into real estate. We spent some time talking about the systems and processes that he uses to do his 200 deals. He's done 200 deals for the last 10 years. So and we talk about, very specifically why you guys should have some plans, action plans, so that in every step of the process there is no guessing. It's assigned to one person. They open up their sheet, boom, 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 1, 2, 3, there it is. We talked about why he suggests you should have different phone numbers for all your different marketing channels. And, on this episode, he talks about some tools and some companies to do some of that stuff that honestly, that I was not aware of. So, all right, I think you're going to love it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
This episode is brought to you by Real Estate Radio Experts. Now, Real Estate Radio Experts, look, man, radio. That you guys want listing leads, radio is the best way to get them. They're basically referrals. We have the radio host endorse you, say, hey, Toby's a great guy. He'll sell your house. Call him. And you know what? It's not as expensive as you think. Stop paying for Trulia, Zillow, whatever, and get on the radio. So go to realestateradioexperts.com, fill out the getting started sheet, and let's chat. You can also go to Super Agents Live, and we have a Dominate Radio tab there. Check it out. Watch some of those videos. Now, as you guys know, before we get to this, hashtag for this show is Unpack That Idea. My Twitter handle is Super Agents Live. And you know what? You guys are not going to want to miss future great episodes like this. So go to my website, superagentslive.com. Download my free ebook. That will give, I'm going to give you my ebook. You're going to give me your email address. And you know what that means is I can tell you guys when we have something special going on. So, maybe we're going to do an event somewhere. And I I talk about that kind of stuff to my list, and I don't always share it on the show because some of the times that's pretty dynamic. Look, and the other thing too, look, I know there's people out there listening to this show not in real estate. Now, here's the deal. I'm looking for an outside salesperson for radio. So if you think, you're dynamic enough to sell radio, hit me up. Let me know. I'd love to chat with you. And, anybody who does come on and that we choose for this role, you're going to be working closely with me. I'll go ahead and I'll coach you along the way. And, we have a great culture here. So check it out. All right. Hey, let's get to it. Today on the show, I'm really excited. Today's guest, his market is Las Vegas. Now, he has a team of 8. We're going to dig into this a little bit because out of that team of 8, he has one buyer's agent. So I'm very curious as to what that admin or team overall looks like. The last 5 years, he's averaged 230 transactions. So he's got a fantastic track record. Now, last year, he dipped a little bit down to 160. So we're going to dig into what happened there. Total volume, 40 to 50 million. I am thrilled to welcome Jim Brooks. Hey, Jim, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Happy to be on with you.
So, Jim, I've given the audience just a nuts and bolts overview of what your business looks like. But before we get to your business, I want to know a little bit about who Jim is, right? I like to get to know the man behind the machine.
Sure, absolutely. I little Midwestern boy, grew up in a small town in mid-Michigan, and actually moved out to Las Vegas in 1999, and I was a traveling RN, ER, and trauma nurse at the time.
Wow.
So life's given me a couple different paths here. 2003, I'd gotten burnt out on that and kind of fell into real estate, and just blessed by the good Lord, got into the market at the right time. Hard work ethic, and just lots of hours, as I didn't have much of a past experience, business experience, business education. All my education was in the medical field. And it's been the best decision I ever made. I've been doing it about 11 years now, and love what I do, and the financial aspect of it has been far superior to being an RN.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's an interesting story. And, it's funny you mentioned work ethic and hours, because as soon as you said Midwestern, I actually wrote down work ethic, because, I have found that, people who grow up on a farm or in the Midwest, and that, they're used to getting up early and working, and, they always sort of succeed. Is that your background, Jim?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, bringing how you're brought up and morals and what your family taught you. And yeah, I was forced to work on a farm, I think, at the age of 10. And even though I grew up in the country, I didn't grow up on a farm, but I worked on a farm for many years. And I got into this business, and I was engaged to be married. I basically had $5,000 to my name to make the transition, and so I had no other alternative. Success was the only option.
Yeah.
And so I got into the business. Again, I'm a good people person, good communicator, honest and ethical person with good Christian moral backgrounds. But as far as the business experience and the marketing and all the stuff that usually goes hand in hand with successful real estate agents and teams, I lacked all of that. So I made it up with hard work. I literally, my first 2 years in the business, I tracked about 100 hours a week I was working. And, when people say 100 hours a week, that's pretty hard to fathom when you look at it. That's 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. And probably half of that time was wasted because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was committed to it, and I was doing something.
Right. I've had those days where I'm sitting there and going, I can't quit yet, but I'm sitting there staring at my screen. I don't get on Yahoo or CNN, but I'm doing nothing. I've learned, at long days, I just walk away. So I know that no matter, the 1 hour that I'm spending for my computer equals 10 minutes of productivity in the morning. So for me, I walk away.
Right.
Well, look, and here's the thing. So I have to think there's a certain personality profile that goes into being, somebody like an RN, whether it's a regular RN or trauma RN or whatever. What's your disc profile look like?
Actually, my disc profile is a little bit, and I don't remember all the specifics of the dish. So you'll have to refresh my memory, but I'm a little bit different than what you would expect from being an RN and being that caring, compassionate person. I actually showed to have a real high drive, and my disc profiles show that I should be, more a business operator.
Interesting. Okay, so you knew where I was going with that, because I would say, like I'm a 99D, 99I, so I'm dominant and I'm very gregarious. The D and I have very little S and C, and here's why I want to talk about this. What I've found is when people have a high S so my profile, high D, high I, that's a listing agent. A high S, high C, right. Much more paternal. They're much more suited to being a buyer's agent. So I guess you're saying that you fell more on the I side of it, or on the D side of it, rather than the S. Okay.
After you refreshed my memory on it, I was both of those, very high D and fairly high I.
Okay, that's fine. Well then, okay. So in terms of your listing buyers, sellers, what does that percentage look like?
Oh, we're 80% listing.
Wow.
75 to 80% listing.
Okay. So, let's talk about how you got there. Before we get to the listings and why you went from 230 to 160, when any company can get, real estate company can get to over 100, their systems are bulletproof. They should be bulletproof. Talk to me a little bit about some of the systems you've implemented to be able to do 230 transactions.
Yeah, systems, again, not having, where I lacked was the experience on the business side, and having the systems and be intelligent enough to put them in place. And I'm very, I'm very OCD, very regimented, very type A personality. So I did the best with the knowledge I had. And once we started hitting that 200 mark, I was smart enough to realize that I wasn't intelligent enough to do this on my own and to get these systems in place on my own. So key component was getting, hiring, and retaining the right staff that had the experience with that. That was one big component too. But the second thing I actually went out and done is I hired a organizational coach. And a girl I'd known in the past, and worked with her at Prudential for years, and she did it at the corporate level for Prudential here in town, and now she's gone off and started her own business. And I hired her for about a year and a half. We met in 4-hour block sessions, and we'd meet, I think once a week. And that was the best thing I've ever done. She basically went through every step of my business, went through all of our systems, everything that we do, just set up a plan for everything, spent a half a day with each of my employees to see where they were, what they were doing, what their work ethic was, what their time management was like. And so we basically broke it down from square one of my business, and over a year and a half really got everything dialed into, everything is systematic now. And if you don't have that and you're doing even 50 deals, your life's going to be a nightmare. Yeah.
Well, and again, I think it's really it's that 50. If you can get to that 50, by 50, you should have that stuff in place. So, I mean, because there's probably other people out there struggling and kind of, similar to you. Maybe can you outline some of the stuff? What can you share with the audience about those systems?
As far as what the systems are or how we implemented them, or
no, what the systems actually are.
Yeah, sure. We, the big system is having I've tried and looked at 3-4 different, CRM, contact database systems, and we ended up coming back to Top Producer, and Top Producer is one that really could handle everything we needed it to do. So every part of our business is systematized, from internet leads coming in to phone calls coming in. I mean, as soon as they come in, my customer care receptionist knows exactly what's going to happen. If it's an internet lead, she makes the initial contact and puts it in the Top Producer. It gets set up on the drip. It gets assigned to the person that's doing that. The person has an automatic task manager put in place, so they know exactly how to follow up and when to follow up. Same thing with our transactions. A new listing comes into place. We've set up action plans in Top Producer for every imaginable system that could come in, or any task that has to be done. New listing, new buyer, it comes in, gets assigned to the team members. It's almost like a conveyor belt. Everyone on my team handles a certain aspect of the transaction. And again, I'm all employees and not agents. So everyone knows what they do. They get prompted. There's no guessing. It's all set up in an action plan. People come in the morning, they open up their Top Producer. They know exactly what has to be done on that day. So that really helped us as far as the follow-up, the communication, and also keeping the transaction flowing in place, not missing a home inspection, not missing a walkthrough, not missing an appraisal. All that stuff is completely systematic, where it never gets missed.
Got it. Okay. So to unpack that a little bit, so a phone call comes in. Your front desk person, how does she know who to route that or assign that call, that lead to?
Well, again, that's all systematic too. It's she knows that she's been doing it long enough. She knows the lead that comes in based on what market it is. We have multiple different niche markets that we work in, and whatever market it comes in, she knows who it's going to be assigned to. She makes if it's an internet lead, she makes the initial contact, initial email. If it's a phone call, she'll route it over to the person. But yeah, I mean, we know exactly with every call that comes in who it's going to go to, and that's all systematized and in place as well.
Now, what about you being the overall lead guy? What kind of things are in place for you to do you have a dashboard where you can go, okay, X amount of internet leads came in and they went to Julie and as well as phone calls and they went to Jim. So what do you do in terms of managing that? Looking at their conversions, how do you manage that?
Sure, that's all systematized too. Again, we found that top producer can handle every aspect of the business that our team needed personally. I'm not sure it's going to work perfectly for every team, but for ours, it can handle everything. So once a month, we get a dashboard printout of not just internet leads, but every lead that's been entered into our database, whether it's a repeat customer, a new listing, a new buyer, an internet lead. And so I get a report on that once a month. We also, another valuable thing for listeners, if there's the real estate agents, if they're doing marketing, how are they tracking their marketing? If it's an internet lead, you can track it, but the phone calls is where it gets tough to track it. We put a system in place called CallFire. I'm sure you've probably heard of it.
No.
Familiar with it.
No.
So, really great system. Every marketing piece that we do has a CallFire number attached to it, so it's got its own trackable phone number on it. So we have about, I don't know exactly, 30 to 40 different marketing pieces that we do, whether it be a website, whether it be a flyer we're sending out, whether it be, a lead generation system that we're working with or paying for. Whatever we do, our Zillow, everything's got its own specific number. So I track that on a monthly basis as well, so we can see where those calls come in. The other good thing is those calls are recorded. We let the consumer know they're recorded, and I can be in Hawaii listening to how my office is handling these calls. I get an email with every call that comes through.
Wow, man.
That's really, really helpful. And it's pretty reasonable. 40 lines. I think it costs us like $140 a month.
Wow. That's amazing. I've not heard of that.
Callfire.com. If you got multiple marketing, you're not using it, you should be. Or a similar. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Sure.
Company,
yeah.
They've been great.
I'm gonna look at that. I'll reach out to those guys. So when you say you have 30 to 40 marketing pieces, unpack that a little bit.
Okay. Broken down, we let me just break down where our business comes from. We basically, one thing I was smart enough to do getting into this business was build a database and keep it. That's been a huge component of our success. Yeah. And, try to have minimum of between 4 and 6 different avenues where we're generating income. Especially with Las Vegas being as dynamic of a market it is. We can be up 50% one year and then down 50% the next year. And our number of transactions can go from 5,000 a month to 2,000 a month. And so it's just a very volatile, dynamic market. So we have basically 5 main different avenues where we try to generate our income. Okay. One being focused on, we have a big niche with residential portfolio building with investors. Big high-rise niche. That's one of the reasons our numbers dropped so much is the short sale niche. And that was the one main reason we lost our numbers, because of that volume going away. Big high-rise niche. Our team's the number one team in real estate transactions and closed transactions in high-rise. That's over half of our business. And so we do a lot of marketing. We have a lot of different websites. Any newsletter that we send, and any different piece of marketing that we send out, it's got a different number on it. And again, like homes.com, Trulia.com, Zillow, all those third-party real estate sites, we also have our own individual call fire number on. So we're able to track everything.
Yeah, well, even more than that. I mean, you could do A/B split testing on that, right? So I mean, you could create a flyer, send in one color and one kind of tagline or whatever.
Yeah.
And a different. That's amazing, man. So out of all,
I'm not that intelligent. I haven't gotten that creative yet, but I have been smart enough to figure out where. Well, the problem is, we get these. We have a busy office. Phones are ringing off the hook all the time, and I'm always trying to track where it's coming in. And my customer care rep's got 3 calls on the line, and a new listing comes in, and so my high-rise manager calls her back, and I'm like, well, where'd that come from? She's like, I didn't have time to find out.
Right.
So any of the calls, we don't miss that anymore.
You describing your office almost. It sounds. I'm the vision I'm getting is almost like a Wall Street trading, room.
I guess you could.
So what is this high-rise niche? What is that?
Well, we since I've gotten to the business was right when the high rises were really taking off in Las Vegas, and I really got involved with some marketing, some websites, and we've just really built up a large database of high rise clients. We market and farm to multiple owners in different high rises, and we've just been able to build it up where we close at least 100 transactions a year from our high rises.
Yeah, but Jim, when you say high rise, I mean, are these condos? What?
Yep.
Okay.
High rise condos.
Okay.
We do a lot with condo hotels since we work with a lot of investors. But then, you're also your traditional high rises too that people, have as a second home or rent long term in or live in. And, our high rise market in Las Vegas isn't real large. It's very, very small. There's only about 15, 16 different total high rises in the whole town, and all of them but one are, within a mile of the Strip.
I mean, look, you, for not having a business background, I mean, you certainly got up to speed really quickly. Where did you get this background? I mean, you know what I mean? This, 30 to 40 marketing pieces, you got call fire. I mean, how, and you keep saying, you're self-deprecating yourself on this show. I'm not that smart. But clearly your results say something different. How did you learn this without having this background?
I think a lot of it was just being, having common sense and, really always looking at my business. And I think I was smart enough to realize when I didn't know something.
Got it.
And, so when I realized that I couldn't figure it out, then I would, spend the money or do what I had to do to hire someone or bring someone in that could help me from where I lacked on that level. And that's really been the key to success.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, let's talk about that because I would say that you figured it out today, but with that time period that you were working 100 hours a week, you didn't figure it out then. So at what point, Jim, did you go from 100 hours a week to a more manageable time period? And what was that first hire?
Well, yeah, that was after about 2 years when I hired, after about a year and a half, I hired my first assistant. A lot of it, like I said, I just feel like I was blessed and the right door open to get into real estate at the time that I did, because I got in 2003 and Vegas was just starting to take
crazy,
off.
Yeah.
And, my first full year in the business, I, closed over 20 million in sales and did it without being brand new and without an assistant or without anyone. That was the other reason I was working so many hours, because I couldn't keep up. So a lot of that was, it's much more difficult now. You enter the market today versus when I got into it, and it's just not the same. You're going to have a lot more hills to climb and a lot more obstacles, and so, that part I'm fortunate of. But, it was about after a year and a half, I hired my first assistant just because I realized that, staying up till 3, 4 in the morning writing files and typing up paperwork, and just wasn't the best use of my time.
No.
Especially when we were bringing in that kind of revenue and that kind of, those kinds of numbers so quickly. So I brought my first assistant in, and just a side note on that for people trying to tap into the business or get into the business. Again, not having the business background, the only thing I was able to figure out is I was at a big Prudential office with 400 agents, and I'd go into the office every morning, and I'm like, well, I was smart enough to realize I wasn't going to get any business sitting there. And so I started my whole business with open houses. I did open houses my first 2 years of the business, and I did them, I didn't do them just on weekends. I did them 5-6 days a week, and I did them for 8 to 10 hours at a time. That was basically my office.
Wow, man. Well, and so how? I'm assuming that was successful for you.
Yeah, I had no business. I was a traveling RN, moved here, didn't know anyone, never worked at even a specific hospital. I worked in different ERs all over town, so I really didn't have any close relationships with anyone. So I had really a very small sphere of influence to start my business with. So I started all with open houses. Yeah, I closed my first dozen transactions, I think, off of them.
Well, here's what I'm hearing out, is today people are not, and maybe that was just the time frame. I don't know. Because the market was hot, but today people are starting to leverage open houses more and more, but they're not doing it to find buyers. They're doing it to find other listings.
Yeah, I didn't. I think that's from the experience I had. I think that's a tough approach. I mean, unless you're marketing differently. I was basically just going out and grabbing a dozen signs, and putting the balloons on them every day, and just getting as much traffic as I could. And I was just strictly after buyers. Very little listing captivation off of my open houses. So I wouldn't even know how to go about trying to approach that from the listing side. Yeah,
and again, this is we're in different markets. The 03 and 2015 are different animals. So, but look, let me go back. You said you always want to have 4 to 6 lead channels. We talked about niche residential. I think builders. We had your short sale channel. We have your high rise niche, and then you jumped into marketing from there. What are some of the other 2? I think you said you had 5.
Yeah, the other another one would be obviously internet traffic.
Yep.
I have a high rise website, and then our main website, LasVegasHomes.Vegas, and we generate traffic from there. I have a full-time SEO and marketing employee that works for me full-time, and basically all she does is work on my websites. And we tried all these. We do the Trulia and the Zillow, and it's just I haven't been able to be very profitable. They're just too expensive. They're too watered down, and it's just we haven't been able to have any success in that. So we dump our own money into I'd rather dump my money in my site, something I can grow and get continued growth from the future than, Zillow or some of these other places, which some people have real good success with, and it's just
not that many.
As soon as you stop that paycheck, your lead stops. So there's no value where you can build for your future. Whereas if you're putting it into your own personal website, you can.
I agree. I fully agree with that. And again, I'm not finding very many people winning today on Zillow or Trulia. How many websites do you have? I just Googled you right now. How many websites do you have, Jim?
We have 3 right now that are active. Signature High Rise. One of the niche products I do is Las Vegas MGM Signature. Big property, condo hotels.
Okay.
And that's been one of our big niches that I started with that, and we've hit it very hard, from hard copy marketing to the internet to, I've closed over 600 units in those 3 towers since they were built in 2004. And so now we've taken that system and implemented it into, pretty new in the last year, but now we're going into basically every tower in town. So we're trying to implement that system on all the high rises in town. And it's going to be a 18 to 24 month investment, I think, to really see the results, but we're trying to grow and set up for the future.
Well, and look, I love that. I love that. I was almost going to ask you a question similar to that. What are you doing to plant seeds today? I love that you're planting seeds today, and you're not thinking about how can Jim win in 2015, but you're going, hey, how can Jim win and set himself up for 2017, right? 2018. So I think that long-term view is something that successful people have, and most people don't. Now, do you have an expired or FSBO channel that you work on?
I do not up until recently. We're just working on putting that system in place. But I have never used either of those FSBOs or expires. I've never had any revenue or systems in place for them, but we're actually working on something right now.
Yeah, you want me to share some inside info with you?
Yeah.
About Vegas, baby. So Florence Shapiro, Florence.
Mm-hmm. I just had lunch with Ivan last week.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Ivan's a cool guy. I've had both Florence and Ivan on the show. Well, so then this is not inside. So, I mean, Florence shared with me that because she only does this, Florence Shapiro, for everybody in the audience, she only does luxury, $1 million plus houses. So she shared with me that she has both an expired and FSBO channel for these $1 million and $2 million houses. And I said, are you that can't work? And she says, it's absolutely working. So, I don't know who else is playing with that, but I know they have a great name in that luxury market, but maybe you could be that number 2 guy in that, working on those, on that, $1 million.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's opportunity, and it's just using your resources and leveraging them. And you're in the business. You're either prospecting or you're marketing. And I've had my years of prospecting, kind of burnt out on that in the open houses. And so all of our efforts now, when you get to that point where you can convert over to marketing, I believe you can have more success on the marketing side, but it's all based off the dollar you want to put into it. Yeah,
that's true. But I would say in addition to prospecting, marketing, when you can figure out your marketing and it's put $1 in, get 3 back, or lose 1, right? Your business becomes much more predictable in that fashion rather than prospecting. Right. It's more hours, right? So what you're doing all this stuff. You're doing all these 30 to 40 marketing pieces. You're tracking everything. What is working for you? What is the one thing that you're seeing that is consistently giving you results?
I would say there's two items that we get consistent results off of, and first and foremost, our most consistent, most reliable form of income is our database.
Right.
Like I said, one thing I was smart enough. When I started, I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured all these people I come in touch with, I didn't have a database when I started. So when I got one, I was held it pretty tightly. We've done an incredible job of building our database. I think we're pretty close to about 10,000 clients.
Oh, wow.
And we market to them regularly. A lot of people have a database, but if you don't stay in touch with them, it doesn't do you any good. That's the other thing. Top Producer's been great. We have our graphic designer create all custom templated mass emails. So, every time we're sending a mass email, it's customize our logos, getting in front of people every time we send it. And it's the same look. And, it's one way of us working on branding ourselves to at least our database. And, we sell 70 to 100 transactions a year come from our database from existing clients, and that usually comes off of sending out property alerts. Deal of the day. We have all kinds of stuff. We mix it up. And a lot of those are from the high-rise side of it, because we have a lot of high-rise clients, especially a lot that are investors. So that's that's definitely our baby from the team. That's very, very consistent. But we stay in touch with them. We're hitting them we try not to overkill.
Yeah.
But we hit them probably 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
Market, yeah.
How do you not get people unsubscribing left and right?
Very, very few. I just went through. That was one of the things that we cleaned up, and I haven't done it. I finally got organized. Over the last 5 years, we haven't cleaned it up at all, and we just went in and out of about 10,000 people, I think we had 840 unsubscribes, and we cleaned those up, and we watch and track them. If they unsubscribe, we contact them and make sure that they, some of our clients have accidentally done it. Some have said, I just prefer not to be contacted anymore. But yeah, we have very low turnover on that. There is an unsubscribe button if they, if they decide they don't want to get our information. But most of the stuff that we send is, pertinent. These people we're their real estate resource for Las Vegas. And, when they want to be up on the market, we don't, send them out how to plant a tulip or bake a pie or anything like that. But, everything we're sending is related to either market conditions, new opportunities. Hey, we just had this great short sale fall through. Or, hey, there's just this new listing at, down at Trump on the Strip. And so everything is very relevant to Las Vegas real estate.
So this is, I'm going to ask you something, and this is going to be good for the audience. So I'm on your site right now because look, I love getting into somebody like your funnel. I want to see how you do it. I want to see the stuff that you send out. But you don't have. Okay, I'm gonna hit. The only way I can give you my info. What? Okay. There we go. So contact us. So you don't. An internet marketer, right? And when you said you had 10,000 people, I assumed that you were kind of an actual like marketer guy, where I go to your site and you prompt me, whether it's a pop-up box or prompt me to give you my info. Maybe it's a book giveaway. There's none of that. I just have to hit contact us. Now, if I put in my information on contact us, do I get into your sales funnel?
Yeah, well, if you put in the contact information, it'll get routed into it'll go into my front office.
Okay.
And my front office will reach out and contact you. And we're pretty. I mean, we're not just dumping everyone into there. We're pretty specific who we dump into there. So if they, if it's a real lead or an interested buyer, we have different separations and different components in our database. So if it's just the lead, there's been no contact or conversion. They still go into our top producer, but they're going to be under a category that will be that'll be deleted out if we haven't made contact.
Okay. So what
you wouldn't necessarily automatically go into it.
I gotcha. Okay. So why don't you have another tab here that says, I don't know. So it says sellers. What's my home worth? Sell your home, blah, blah, blah. Nothing for buyers. How come you're not like giving an ebook away, like surfacing an ebook right here? How to get the most money for your high-rise condo, and get people's.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I don't have an ebook.
Yeah, we can write one. You can go rip one off. Somebody's got one out there.
Right.
Anyhow, okay. Well, I think and I only bring that up because that's very few real estate agents are marketing like internet marketers, and giving an ebook away in exchange for an email address is a good easy way to do that. And you can people who are going to download how to get the most money for my high-rise condo, I mean, clearly that they're a seller, and most likely they're going to be on that high-rise. So 2 more things on your database. Well, number one, how did you build it to 10,000?
Just very, very consistent. Even from when I started back in the day by myself, I've always kept some content, some kind of CRM system, and I haven't always done the best job of keeping in touch with these people for a number of years. When it was just me and an assistant, I just, I didn't have the systems in place and was too busy. So, now that we have the staff and the manpower, we're really diligent about keeping up with it. But, every time you come in touch with, we come in touch with a possible contact that's a client, whether it be from our sphere of influence or it'd be someone I met from being in the business. We don't have other real estate agents in our database unless they're out of state as a potential, referring agent. Mm-hmm. And, we keep it really isolated to who sees who sees who and who sees what from our database. But yeah, 11 years, if you think about it, it's not that, it's just being consistent. We average, I would say, 3 to 4 people a day that we're adding to our database.
Wow. Okay, that's great. And so I'm playing on your site, and I went to a listing. When I clicked to look on it, sign up now for free. Why join? And I can't get out of this. I'm hitting. It looks like this is a forced registration here.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it.
You just know that it works.
I got a guy that does it full time. So yeah, technology and websites and internet, you're not going to get a lot of knowledgeable information out of me on that. Again, I realized that was one of my biggest weaknesses. I never even used a computer till I think I was in my third year of college. So, I'm definitely not the most computer or technology savvy, but again, I realized, I was smart enough to realize I needed that. So I just hired someone full time. Right.
I mean, look, you know what you don't know, and you go and hire somebody for it. I think that's awesome. So 2 more questions on your database. One, so do you grade your database? Do you grade it into not only buyers and sellers, but A+, B, C, D?
We used to, and we just kind of got away from doing that. The database has gotten so big that there's really no value in grading the database unless you're going to actually do something with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you're going to reach out to your A+ clients, you're going to call, you're going to set up, have your lunch meetings, or your pop buys, or whatever you're going to do. There's really no value in grading them. So we have them graded in another way, and it's based off of their activity level. Are they are they a new client that hasn't had contact made? Are they active in the pipeline, currently looking to buy or sell? Are they a future client? And then we set up our systems based off of that.
Got it. Okay. And then my last question in the database is what kind of mail client do you use that you can actually send out 10,000 emails or 30,000 emails a week?
We send right through Top Producer.
Really?
Yeah. It's very, very smooth system. Takes literally seconds to send out. And then, we all of our clients. That's the other thing that we went when I hired this organizational person. We went back through every single client in our database and did the best that we could to put a contact type with them and source them, what kind of contact they are and where they came from.
Yeah.
So we can pinpoint market. We do a lot of pinpoint. We send out probably 2 high-rise listings or new opportunities a week. And so we're not blasting these single family, we got Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who I just sold a house to in Henderson. They don't want to be seeing 2 high-rise listings a week, so we can pinpoint whoever we want to send it to. Usually we just group that into where we send the high-rise listings to our high-rise database, and then we cut out the other portion of it.
Got it. Okay. Now, just so I know the audience, so is there there has to be an extra cost for the kind of email with it? No. I might go get Top Producers
I have
for that.
I think I spend quite a bit on Top. I mean, compare. You can get a Top Producer account for like $40 a month. But
yeah.
I think we have like 8 accounts because I have. My agent has one. I have the master one. My vice president of my company has another master one. And my front desk reception people are admin. They have an admin account, and my sales manager has an account. So with like 7 or 8 accounts, it's still, I think it's like $280 a month. But no, unlimited emails. I have a different. I use that ePro campaigns. We do some mass marketing email to some other sources that aren't in our database. So we use that so I don't get my database too watered down or too big where we can't manage it. But yeah, no, it's if someone's going to use it, what I do recommend though is pay a graphic designer, couple $100, and we created templates for every different type of marketing piece that we do. So different header on it. Footer's always the same, always pounding our logo and our branding out to them. Just much more professional. It's not your standard text email, but yeah.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. I'm surprised the top producer doesn't have already templates built in, like an Aweber or MailChimp or something.
Well, they do, but again, I wanted to, we're to the point in our business where everything we do finally getting organized enough where, now we're working on our brand, as much as we are a business.
Got it.
So we just custom create everything to our logo and our brand.
Okay. Well, I got it. Okay, that's enough on email, but I have some other comments on it, but I don't think they're great for anybody or the audience. So, all right, we're going to start wrapping up here, man. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask everybody. And the first one I'm interested in, who has been your mentor, Jim?
Oh, man, who's been my mentor? I cannot answer that question. I never had a mentor.
Have you ever had a coach?
No. I mean, we played around like a little bit where I used some of the Brian Buffini referral systems and stuff, and I still have a pretty good. We do a lot of referral. That's the one component I didn't mention. Our referral business is pretty significant. We track. We have a full system in place. We track every referral, where it comes from. The second the referral comes in, there's a card and a gift going out to whoever sent it. And I get a monthly report on how I think we average around 100. Our goal is like 150 to 200 referrals a year. And I think we're right around 150 right now. When we consider a referral, they could be calling us to buy a dumpster in the ghetto. It's not based off of closing the transaction. It's based off of getting our referring partners, trained and that they know if they send us a referral, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. We're gonna send them out something, and we're gonna thank them for it, and it's just so we track it off of the actual referral, not the closing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a referral is a referral. How do you, if you say that you train your referral partners, which that means you encourage your past clients to refer you, what does that look like, training your referral partners?
Well, I think a lot of this I learned when I started back with, I followed Brian Buffini's system a couple of years. I don't follow it anymore, but I feel I took enough of the knowledge off of it to where I just kind of customized my own system, and it's real basic. It's the talking to people, and especially people that are already referring or new people, letting our quality clients know that a significant amount of our business comes from referral, and it's our quality clients that usually refer us other quality people to work with. And so one is asking for it, constantly asking for it. And 2 is when we get it, like Pavlov's dog. They send us a referral, and unless it's a Friday at 5:00, there's a letter with some kind of gift card going out into the mail, movie tickets, gift card, restaurant gift certificates going out in the mail that day. They'll have it the next day or the day after.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so, people see that, they send you a referral, especially if you get it in the morning, goes out in the morning mail, and the next day they're in California and they get a thank you card with a Starbucks gift certificate in it 24 hours from when they gave you the referral. It's not what the gift is. It's just, it's the thought and actually doing it and being on top of it.
Now, I agree. So what you said, asking for the referral and constantly asking for it. Now, is there a tagline or in your emails? Do you constantly hit them? Is that message in your emails constantly?
Yeah, we kind of go back and forth on that. I think we had it in for a while, and I don't have to say. I have to look at an email. I don't think we use it anymore.
Okay.
I just think it's a little bit, it gets a little bit impersonal. I usually hand type it into a lot of my emails, and I just use a couple different key phrases. I've used them a million times over, and one is, let people know. I said, when I talk to my quality people, I said, what I found, if we don't ask for the referral, we don't receive the referral. So you have a successful team and you're doing a lot of business, and so people just automatically assume that you don't need any more business. So I just tell people, I'm like, we found out from our quality, VIP customers like you, I found out that if we don't let you know that over half of our business is done by referral, we won't get the referral. So we need to, let you know that this is how we do work, and it allows us, to spend more time not out there looking for business, but to focus on our clients and taking care of them and handling the transaction. And, so I'm just real honest with them, just let them know that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I love it. So I'm going to I always ask for a book recommendation. So here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Inspiring agent have $25. I think and I'm not a big reader myself, I can tell you. I've only read a few of them, but, would be a $1 Million Real Estate Agent.
Yeah. That comes up too much, man. I need to. You know what I need to do is I need to prep you guys and say, look, I'm gonna think about a book recommendation, and I need to be better at that with my guests. Well, listen, come up with a better question. Well, here's why I'm asking why I asked that question is because we have a deal with Audible where we can give away a free book. So that's what I asked the question, because then I go, hey, if you haven't read that book, I go to our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a book on us. So that's I have to ask that question just to give away a book. So
what answer would you like me to give him so I know for next time?
I'll prep you for next time. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So look, my last question to you, and I think I know the answer, but I want to ask it anyway, is do you have a personal habit, Jim, that you feel has contributed to your success?
Yeah, I mean, the personal habit, like drinking alcohol, that's kind of like an after-hours habit. Yeah. That probably hasn't contributed to my success, though, but it helps me handle the business, I think, a glass of wine at night.
Glass of wine?
I would say,
I'll kill a bottle quick.
Well, I know. I just don't want to sound like I'm a raging alcoholic on a radio show. So we can talk about that later. I would say, my biggest attribute is probably just my personality. A-type personality. I'm very, very OCD, almost to it's made me successful, and it's still a positive thing, but I'm just very, very organized. So I probably spend my time management isn't the best because I'm probably straightening out pencils and papers that are crooked on my desk for a half an hour out of the day. But once I get everything in its place, then I think it actually has been a huge part of my success, just making sure everything is organized. And when you get this much traffic and this much business going, if you don't have that, you're gonna at some point you're gonna get just drowned. Yeah, no, I agree. You know what I thought you were gonna say is your work ethic. I know that's what got you off the ground early, and I thought that was gonna be your personal habit. But I think that kind of goes hand in hand with it. The drive and the A-type personality is what created the work ethic. And what I tell people that we're one of the larger teams in town. We've been blessed being successful. I do a lot of talks and I do a lot of shows and a lot of meetings and stuff, especially with my company, Realty One Group. And, I tell people the same thing all the time. It's really not a hard business. I'm definitely no Einstein by any means. And but if you get into the business, you have a good work ethic, you work hard, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And you put your clients first, and you're always honest and ethical. I mean, the clients pick up on that right away. So Everyone knows when they work with us that they know that they're never going to get screwed over. They know whether it means us losing a commission or a transaction. My whole office knows this, that that's just one thing that I won't tolerate is with my team and staff, and they're all the same as I am. It's always the customer's always right. We always take care of them. We're always honest with them. And if we lose the deal, it'll come back and we'll get 5 more from doing the right thing.
Boom, boom, man! This has been a great episode. I think the title for an episode like this should be like "What They Don't Teach You in Business School" with Jim Brooks. Hey, Jim, here's the deal, man. I always recommend my audience, if they've got anything out of this episode, is reach out and say thank you to my guest, which is you. So, where can people find you?
The best place to find me would be email. Email address is jim@vegas1, which is the numeral, realestate.com.
Got it.
Jim at vegas1realestate.com.
And listen, everybody, if you want to thank Jim on his email and you're driving, walking your dog, riding your bike, whatever you're doing, all this will be on the website. Go to superagentslive.com and look for Jim Brooks. Hey, Jim, I'll be the first one to kick off the thank you train. Hey, man, I know you're a super busy guy with a big team doing a ton of deals, so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and sharing with me and my audience.
Yeah, happy to do it. And if anyone in the audience out there, real estate agents, has any referrals for Las Vegas Henderson, we work with a lot of referring agents, so got to always ask for those referrals.
Absolutely.
Call me or email me.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, Jim. Hey, man, let's keep in touch, bud.
You got it. God bless you. Have a great day.
See you, pal.
Thanks again. Bye.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated